Hello, everybody, and welcome to Malts and Meeples for another game of Lands of Galzyr. According to what I had down, this was the 6th game, which, it's kind of fun to be this far into it's a narrative game. I don't want to call it a campaign game. Yeah, had to double check. It was actually the 6th. It is. This is a narrative kind of adventure, choose your own adventure style experience. I think it'll work well for some people who want that heavy story but don't want, Frosthaven, which weighs 30 some pounds before you put in an insert. So there we have it. I have an old fashioned. And let's get down to the table as we start the month of January. Yeah, ratio's not quite right. 1 second, let me fix my ratio. Too much bitters. This is why people measure. I definitely do not. So I just removed some bitters. That should do the trick. If you're wondering how that works scientifically, it doesn't. I'm making that up. So as we get ready to start here, we start on a Monday. I am in Maratu here, and I might as well pick up the quest since I have 2 available. I have to go to Rhinestone for 1, a runaway prince. Ooh, that sounds fun. And Serwar up there for the other. So Rhinestone and Serwar. Sorry, where Maratu leaves me. I'm looking for a person who gets on with kids and acts when faced with injustice. Zephyr, the steppe polecat. That is also in Rhinestone, so I know where we're headed. We're headed to Serwar. No, we're headed to Rhinestone. Let's get started on the first day. Is the adventurer shocked? I am not shocked. I'm not in a settlement. I'm in grasslands. So, you're used to the drill. Back and forth. Or do we have heated? We do not. A camp of folks is set up beside the road, their tents piercing the white fields of snow around you. They are all working to build a new village here. Probably some farmland outside of Rhinestone. Create a little village around it. Sitting at the edge of the camp are a young serval. Got a picture? Black spots, gold fur, is trying to hide his face under a hood. Approaching, you see that he is crying. What do you want? Surprise colors his face when you explain that you could help. My name is Arno. The rest of the workers think I'm a nuisance. They always play mean tricks on me. Today I got a letter from my mother who was so excited to read it. I had to set it down and get back to work, but when I was done, someone had taken it. No one in the camp is willing to fess up to taking it, and will not help me get it back. I'm not heated. We are going to try and observe. Do we have anything for observe? Or intimidate? Intimidate, I have one auto success. So I guess we're going to try and intimidate, actually. Intimidation. That did not go well. But I can re-roll. There we go. So 1 success plus 1 on the dice equals 2. Do have another reroll, so I didn't get another one. We got 2. Working through the camp, you stop and visit every group of workers and intimidate them into telling you about the letter. They flee rather than help you. And one bear even pushes you into a soggy pile of snow for annoying her. Progress is made when you corner a polecat and a mink, who Arno tells you are bullies. Under your imposing shadow, they apologize and hand the letter over to the serval. The young one thanks you for helping and runs to his tent. Not bad, scaring everyone like that. A gibbon in the camp mentions as he offers you a note. I got a job that would be good for someone scary like you. You accept the paper and leave camp, shaking from the cold, moist snow you landed in. We advance. 58, please. It's probably going to be some annoyance because I fell in the snow. Disheartened. So, it's 1, 2, 3. Worried and weary. So book, intimidate, and another one give me -1 successes. And then a random 99. Fright Night. So I can only ever have 3 active quests. So I'm going to just return the Era of Trade Masters. That one's in Serwar. Wait, let's see, where's the Fright Night? Arn? Okay, that's down there. So yeah, definitely this one. It's going back. I'm not making it up to Serwar anytime soon, so I can take this one down to there. Probably should show that as I do that. We'll advance the day here. And I could go down here to Arn for Fright Night immediately, but I have 2 up here. Let's get started with these. I forgot to put out another one, actually, in Maratu. Eventually I'll head back to the other side of the map. But when it's loaded up with quests on one side, why would I? And normally, like I have one here in Arn because I need to go there. Normally you wouldn't have that. Players would be able to see the backside of the cards. But I just use it to help kind of track on the map. So let's see. You know what? I have 2 choices here. I could either help with the school or the runaway prince. I want to do, I think, the school first. 291. You're at the street named in Zephykar's note with no sign of the kids. You flag down a vervet monkey riding on a donkey, asking if she knows the area. I know it well. You explain that you heard urchins lived on the streets. They do. The fur folk points to a 3-story guild house now abandoned. The top 2 floors have caved in, but you take a side stairwell to an underground floor. Inside the rubbish-strewn room, dozens of kids huddle together in the dusty darkness. You announce you are looking for Stuggy and Ihel, that you want to help. One of them, Aurora Fox, coughs, "Fat chance. You're gonna trick us into Laren." Like, fur folk. Don't. Why did I click on knocking? I was curious about this monkey. Must be a common occurrence, as all the kids shy from you. Do you have surprise? No, of course I don't have surprise. Search the room. Intimidate. So, search or intimidate. I guess search is better for me. But unfortunately, because... Right, so I get an automatic success, but then I lose one as well. So with search... It seems the very last pair of kids you look at hold a prospect. A tiger gecko and a little owl. The same species of kids mentioned in Zephykar's note. You ask them if they are Stuggy and Ihel, respectfully. The amphibian between them shrugs. What's to ya? The owl only gives a cough, sickly and wet. The two intently listen as you explain that Zephycar wants them to come to the school and testify against the headmaster. They agree with a nod. At the school, you take the kids to Zephycar, the polecat, who hears their story. She calls the guard patrol and confront Murik, the magpie headmaster. He gives his side. I was upstairs in the indoor garden, which I'm in after every class. From up there, I saw the two enter the school. I went down to see them and caught them in my office breaking open this cash box with their mitts. The box looks rather sturdy to be broken by a child, and your vague memories don't quite align with his words either. So, as Bumir, the marbled polecat, I have scent. Maybe you could sniff your way. With a sniff of the magpie, it is evident what is wrong. Murik's smell, or rather lack of one. You ask him if he has scented flowers in the upstairs garden. Many phloxes, magnolia, hyacinths. You then ask if that is true, why he doesn't have the smell of flowers on him. If he was there every day, he should have some lingering trace of fragrance. If not, maybe he wasn't actually in the garden at all and just lied to the guards. Horror plasters Murik's face. The guards don't know if it's enough for a conviction, but escort the magpie to the city's jail for some serious questioning. Zephycar and the kids thank you for helping. They are sure that Murik will be found guilty. Gain 2 prestige, and seems fairly weak because I'm not going to stick around to testify. Return 137. And take 211 and put it to the back of the quests. I wonder, like, with the higher player count, obviously, you're going to get through more quests. So that one goes away. And I wonder if, I'm not even going to take us back down at the table. I wonder if it's a situation where, like, I might not see that one. Well, I probably will see that one come up again if I play all 12 games, just because I go through enough quests. But in a higher player count game, it would be fast to get to some of those quests. So, I advanced days just because I still have the other quest here, number 77. The Runaway Prince. Zano likely arrived in Rhinestrom through the south gate. So you show the depiction of Zano to the guards on duty there. Among them, a turn points to the drawing we discussed. Rudest sod I ever met. The guard recalls when that polecat demanded him to tell him what the most vogue of the art exhibits in the city, or where the most vogue of the art exhibits in the city were taking place. After the guard told him he did not know, the polecat bought all the newspapers from a stand, read over them, and threw them at the guard before taking a cab into the city. The guard still has the papers and asks if you want to buy them. They could be a strong lead in finding the prince, but there are other avenues you could explore. Do I have tourism? No. That is an interesting tag. I don't have money, so my only option is explore. I do get a reroll, and it is my strongest one, but you start with none. That's not going to do much, so that most definitely will fail. Unfruitfully, you stalk across the city and check every expensive place for Zano, which takes forever, but no one seems to have seen him or is hosting him. As you take a shortcut through a dark side street, something clobbers you over the head and your vision becomes a black blur. After the darkness peels away, you pick yourself off the street and check your pockets. You've been mugged. Well, I had no money, they got nothing. Daylight has given way to darkness and no closer to finding Zano. Defeated, you throw yourself onto a bench resting your sore legs. A throng of street urchins pass you. Are you okay? One of them asked, seeing how disheveled you are. You decide it would not hurt to ask and show your picture of Zano. A crocodile in the group stabs the drawing with a finger. Oh, you seen him. I seen him. I tell you if yous give me 5 golds or something valuable. She stubbornly requests after you ask her to tell you where you saw him. I have a drum. That constitutes enough. I've just literally used that for exploring multiple times. I'm getting rid of it. because I can't get rid of my weapon. I don't want to get rid of my weapon, and the feather duster stays. With a level of apprehension, you hand over the required payment. Satiated, the crocodile tucks away her newfound windfall. The children lead you to the poorest district in the city, stopping at a 3-storied building of old stone with a sign reading Gallery Impact. "Sein mit der Zare," the child squeaks before they all run off. Gallery Impact is hosted inside a towering old stone structure with a pair of polk hat door guards at the entrance. Heading inside, you ascend to the 3rd floor where socialites are migrating through statues of inflated worth. Among them, you spot Zano. Wiggling between clumps of guests, you get to the prince and whisper that he should return to Arn. "I have no interest in leaving," the polk hat swiftly dismisses. Deciding not to argue, you wait around through the evening as Zano enjoys his social mingling. Later, a raccoon and a woodpecker enter the gallery and corner Zano when he is by himself, threatening his well-being if he does not come with them. Fight the intruders or sneak. Well, we're going to fight, because I am much better at fighting. And 1, 2, I have the ability to turn 2 hand symbols to another success. 3 plus an automatic 1. 4. I have gunpowder. Setting your weapon, you fire at the duo of thugs. The prince is nicked, but your shot strikes true and downs the woodpecker. Sudden gunfire scatters the crowd, which stampedes out of the room, leaving Zano and the woodpecker. Seems the raccoon has escaped. Zano shows you his arm. "I will live. What about our friend here?" You stabilize and save the woodpecker, but she refuses to talk. Searching her, you find gold and an envelope. In it is a picture of the prince and instructions to hand him over to Vivenka at the Silver Mere Inn. Zano strokes his chin. "Interesting. We should pay this Vivenka a visit. We can leave this bird here for the authorities to collect. 2 prestige. 3 gold. Love to have that earlier. $147 gets returned. I feel like I might be chasing around this prince for a little bit. 117. Runaway prince. Oh, and I have to go to Sarawar. South and west. 2 spaces, south and west. So, there. And then 293. Let me guess. That is going to be our princeling. That is indeed our princeling. I have 3 turns with him. Very annoying fellow. But I can now end the scene, advance to Thursday to get rid of my good old weary. And at this point, consider my options. Because he is currently injured, it's going to take longer to move. And I do not have first aid. And that could have improved my situation. So, I move one space. It is Thursday, not a Wednesday. So as we go back to the story, the storm front is pouring sleet and freezing rain all over the world, coating everything in deep layers of thick ice. You come to a crossroads, which is now more like a large frozen puddle covered by sheep. An Erugian teal and her two shepherds, a pair of red-breasted geese, are struggling to drive the flock of terrified sheep through the crossroads. Carts, barrows, and travelers are piled up in all directions of the slippery crossing. Altruistic volunteers are trying to pull the frightened sheep across, and angry cart drivers are shouting instructions and harassing the harassed-looking teal. I do not have footwear. Hall or calm? Well, I don't have anything for either, so I'm going to try and calm them down. I did get one. I wonder what more you get if you had done better. You remember how to approach and calm sheep. You move up to them in their blind spot and pat their heads, whispering calming noises to them and handing them off to the geese, who then guide the calmed animals across the road. The advice-hurling onlookers start out strong, but slowly come to a halt when they see your method is working. It's tiring work in the freezing rain, and it takes ages to move the herd out through the crossroads. Eventually the blockage is cleared, all sheep moved aside, and the farmer thanks you for the help. Alright, we hit Friday now. I'm not even going to show you the map. I'm just moving one space. I am not wounded or in a settlement, so we just go to grasslands again. Let's see if 278 is available. Yes, 278 is available. A duck inspecting a stray boulder in the middle of the field, circling around it as he scribbles down notes on a piece of parchment. Consumed by curiosity, you go over to him and ask him what he's doing. Saw this out-of-place rock and was deciding if it was interesting enough to add to the next edition of my guide. Puzzled, you ask him to clarify. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Okakoban Borui Publishing's foremost prolific author. You may know my most famous work, my travel guide, Galzyr's Lands of Adventure and Excitement. I'm assuming that is this pamphlet. Yes. It is. That is fun. The company is looking to update it, and I'll take any chance to get paid to travel around. The duck asks you if you have anything he could use for his guide. I do not have any relics. I don't have Boaster. It's a shame that Zano doesn't give me Boaster. Seems like he should. But still, recalling my adventures is probably going to be my best bet. Otherwise, it's Explore. But Zano does give me one automatic success on recall. So I have, well, on the book symbol. Giving some thought, you scrounged together an account of one of your adventures that you think would be suitable for retelling. The duck nods in contemplation as he digests the story you recount him. Seems interesting enough for a rough premise. I may have to spice it up a bit for a modern audience. With a flurry of pen strokes, he scratches out a take on your tail and tucks the papers away. Splendorous. Well, why don't I accompany you for a time, so I can observe the adventure unfold in real time, catch its flair as it happens. You agree, and leave with the offer in tow. Okaban asks if you're on your way to Chabar. Could be. I wish to visit there to take in some more of its splendid culture. So, let's see, 2 matching animals. Always fun. We now have Kaban for 1, 2. We are good to go. We advance to Saturday, taking the last step on our journey up to here. This is the spot from what I can tell, that we have to go to. And there's nothing really that says anything more than that. So we might as well just do this next bit of story. The 2-story wooden inn before you has a board above it, the door reading Silver Mirror. Zana waves over a magpie employee outside the front door who's carrying a pail of water. Good sir, we are friends of Venka. Have they arrived yet? He asks, giving you a subtle smile as the bird hops over to you. She has, young master. Fantastic. Could you point us to her room? Up there, the bird gestures with a head toss, directing you to a balcony on the 2nd floor, hanging above the woodshed. Can't miss it when you're inside. The magpie dips his head after Zano tosses him a coin. Thank you, sir. The prince waits for the employee to leave before asking you, what's our way in? Could do the simple thing, but what's the fun in that? It's an easy jump. Wrong one. Okay, there we go. I did get 1 success. I was just clicking too fast. Flight and tourism. You and Zino climb up the shack and leap onto the balcony, landing noisily. Alerted from the ruckus, A badger opens the door to the balcony and is startled to see you. Aw, Prince Zano? There's no need to lurk on the balcony. Please, come in. Zano gives you a cautious look, but you both enter. The badger waves you to sit down. Forgive this cloak and dagger business, but I'm Vivenka from the intelligence services of Hezembia. I need to speak to Zano. Vivenka dips her head to the prince. Your Highness, it has come to our attention that one of the ruling families of Arhin wants to kill you and provoke a war with Gemsid. We will discuss it tomorrow. Giving Zano a sweet key, she tells you there's room for all of you. Taking the key, you and the prince go to an extravagant suite and enter. The clattering sound echoes down the chimney. Something lands in the fireplace and rolls out. Zano's eyes widen. Bomb! Do we have the sentinel tag? No. Ooh. Run or put. I don't really... nothing's... Those are so generic that nothing matches up. Both of them are the same difficulty. We're gonna run. Was the right call. You and Zano throw yourselves out of the room and narrowly avoid the blast, which obliterates the room. The explosion draws several servants and Vivenka up to the room, who gasp at the damage caused. Moments later, other Hezembian agents arrive from downstairs, informing Vivenka that one of their agents, Nilos, was a traitor and has fled the property. Vivenka growls in disgust. We have to take our leave of you, Prince. We must return home and root out any other traitors, and will thus no longer be able to protect you. Zano scoffs. As if you and your agents have helped keep me safe at all. Yes. Asking the prince how he feels, he smiles and shrugs. Better, but best not linger here any longer. I know someone who can help. Zano outlines that on the islet of Kashanu, there's a contact who will be able to fill him in on what is going on. So 2 prestige. Return. 293. 292. So I think this is basically just a way to get the Principau healthy. He can now help in fights, and he's fancy and royal. Return 117 and give 118. 1 space west of Hezembi. Upside can now move faster. That is 2 days. To get there, which is good because that's all the time I have left this time. We advance to Sunday. Down here we go 1, 2. So now since I'm into Shun, I could do one of the things. Oh, I might actually do runes 11. Passing the Violet Arm mercenary camp, which has settled into the region, you enter the ruins of Tishun. Once it was a beautiful city bustling with life. Now, the skeletal remains stand as a grim idol of Jem'Sid's might. Entering the rubble, there's a tangible taste of sorrow and history here. Or there's dust and dirt you are inhaling. You ask yourself where the most valuable loot is to be found. Robbers and smugglers hide much in the surface level ruins of the city, yet all the oldest and greatest treasures remain untouched, kept deeper within the dark and claustrophobic networks and tunnels sprawling into the city. We're going to head into the tunnels. You conclude that the surface must have been thoroughly rooted through in the 70 years since Jem'Sid destroyed Tishun. Everything of value must have been picked over by now. If there are any further treasures to find, they would still be hidden deep within the winding labyrinth beneath the city. So you enter a nearby cellar and make your way down into the earth. Descending into the deep, colorless halls of cobwebs and dust, you feel as if the darkness itself has swallowed you whole. The lack of light digests you in an endless, long, tight passage that is treacherously crumbling all around you. You feel a small relief when you come to a junction with 3 paths ahead of you. So, recall is a book check that I would automatically get 2 successes on. I don't think I have anything else for recall. Nope. And I have a reroll. So I'm at 4. You recall some detail. Ooh. No, I'm not going to get more thievery. Or you recall in some detail a vague map that someone made of Tishun's underground tunnels. And trying to follow it to the best of your recollections, you know there's a large room near you. Your smarts have not failed you, and you end up in the room you were looking for. There, a chest with an assortment of burglary tools and a worthwhile item to take. You leave the ruins with the loot. So I could swap in, but I don't want to. I like my setup. I've said that before, and I've swapped it. But we now have throwing stars. That helps me fight their bladed range sneaking weapon. I always wonder what more you could have found had you gotten the better roll. Just this once, we're going to look. So you get, but this ends it versus the other one continues. So we're back to Monday. This is almost our final day. Realize I didn't switch it back over to the screen. So you saw me move, thankfully. And we're going to finish up, well, see about finishing up this Runaway Prince storyline. I don't trust it. At the Kashanu docks, you meet a polecat named Durden on her fishing boat. Zano hugs her, and the two joke about how long it's been. Zano fills her in on the hectic events that have been unfolding in his life. You ask Durden what info she has. I learned about a Hezembian spy named Lyos. His plots to assassinate the Prince of Jem'Sid have been exposed, and he's now on the run. I also saw a polecat matching his description, hiding in a nearby villa owned by the Uzaga Panda family. Arms dealers, Zano elaborates. Durden sails around islet that night, dropping you off at the beach next to the villa that she saw Nylos at. You see the house among a large overgrown garden at the end of a path. Let's check the garden. Slipping into the tall tree-ringed garden, you see a gazebo in the center, which holds the table and chairs. Before you can eye your surroundings much longer, a wolf enters the garden. You dip behind the trees and watch him. His moves are refined and subjects the area to an intense stare. You size him up as being a battle-hardened veteran, working as hired muscle. After giving the garden a sweep, he withdraws and patrols elsewhere. Scouting your way through the elaborate, neglected front garden, you find a place to hide among the overgrown plants and wait to see if more guards are patrolling the property. Sure enough, some minutes later, a crocodile comes from one side of the villa and makes her way around the villa. From her rough appearance, you assume she is hired muscle. Once she leaves, you should be all clear to exit the foliage and head over to the gazebo without being caught. We're all in on the gazebo. Once you have a clear path to the gazebo and no guards are patrolling through the area, you zip over to it and take a look inside. You find a ring of keys hidden near the roof. Assuming they are for the villa, you flank around the back side of the building and unlock a rear entrance. Throwing the door open, it makes an awful squeak. Zano winces at it and looks around to see if the noise has alerted anyone. When no guards show up, you enter the house. Oh, I do not have aroma. Inside the villa, you notice a light on in the living room. You look at Zano, who nods back. You advance into the doorway and peek in. Before you, a polecat Nylos. In front of him, a stack of papers which he is trying to eat page by page in a desperate fashion to destroy evidence. I could intimidate or knock out. Oddly, what do I have? Intimidate? I do have one success automatically for intimidate, so we're gonna go with intimidate. Oddly enough, knockout is not an option for any of my words. Wait, that is not the right die. So, because of the one success, I'm up to 3. Make sure there's nothing funky. You scare Nylos well enough that he promises to come quietly. Zano grabs the papers, and you all head to Durden's boat. On the way, Nylos trips and curses, which attracts all the hired guards, who rush over and start firing. In the confusion, Zano drops the papers, but you manage to escape to the boat. Durden sails you to a guard outpost where you give Nylos and his papers over to the authorities. He admits that the Uzigas hired him to assassinate the prince and blame it on Arin. It would start a war between them and the Gemsid, which the Pandas would profit by selling weapons to both sides. The stork captain writes you a letter. Zano tells you who will return to Arin and says goodbye. So I gain a prestige. 118 returns. No surprise there. The prince goes away. Also no surprise there. I was really hoping to use, because like this is, I mean, it's going to be nice to get 301. Don't get me wrong. 301. It's going to be favor of the elite to go with my favor of the underworld. I was hoping to be able to use favor of the underworld before. And as we hit Tuesday, and poor Oka Koban, we won't get to your story today, as you will head back to the library. We will wrap up the story as we advance to a Tuesday. 200. One adventurer, I'm not isolated. You head to the nearest inn, intent on treating yourself to a well-deserved evening. Celebrating alone? I am at 9 this time, a little bit lower. Legendary still. So I'm not reading through all this again because it is a story that we've gone through before. But I'm actually down on quests to do right now. So end game. Swap out our season. It should still be winter. And 267 gets shuffled into the event deck. And no, I will not be playing another game right away. Saving complete. Finish the game. It's very slick how kind of that save system works. It's even slicker that I can leave it all set up, but because of the dividers they give you in this box, it actually is pretty simple to save. But there we have it. Another adventure in Galzyr taken care of, and honestly I only have one quest left in Aran right now, so I'll probably pick up the one in Maratu on the way there next time. My goal still, as I'm definitely still enjoying this experience, is to play through July, because that will give me 12 months. That will give me a full year, and we'll have to see if it sticks that long. I want to get it to about 10 plays at least. At that point, I'm so close. That's in another 4 weeks. So, yeah, honestly, probably looking at it like, okay, quarter of the year. And then move on to the next campaign game after that. But we'll have to see, because I do have another campaign game that will be coming in pretty soon, with having just picked up Hoplomachus Victorum. So I'm excited to get that one to the table as well when that comes in. And that is a solo-only Chip Theory Games campaign, which I think would be a lot of fun. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you want to know upcoming streams, generally 8:30 p.m. on Mondays. That will be like a shorter one-off stream. This past Monday I played Slay the Spire, but oftentimes a board game and a little bit more just chatting. Then on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central, it is this bigger campaign style experience, because I know that there's just not enough time to play all the campaign games. So I set aside time, and it's part of kind of why I created neurologist.com, which is where I also put out a bunch of content, is I want to be able to play and show off things, read, watch shows, whatever it might be, nerdy things that, like, I'm afforded some time to be able to do these things. it isn't a situation where it's like, oh, well, it's such work for me. No, like I love board games. I want to play them, so it's an excuse for me to play them, but it's also a chance for me knowing that not everybody has the ability to leave a campaign game set up or has the ability or time to get and try as many campaign games as I do, to be able to see like, oh, that's what this game is like on the table. So while I do want to do a good deep dive into these games, and honestly I have such a good experience with a lot of them, like Stars of Icarios, I still think about and want to get back to the table because I was having so much fun with that one. I also do want to be able to cover these games for you so that you can see what they're like. But with that, that was all part of if you want to know when I go live, which really the simplest way is just subscribe and click that notification bell. It is a consistent schedule, but the notification bell will help remind you. It helps reminds me sometimes. And other content, I do a Marvel podcast, 10-minute Marvel. If you're watching this the week that it came out, next week's episode is going to be about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We're going to be, myself and my co-host are going to be doing our review of that. So, a chance to check that out. And if you're interested in that movie, see maybe what some other people think about it. But with that, bottoms up.